Can I tell you how excited I am to be with you today? I want to thank Dave Sterling. It's good to have him home. He's somebody that I've loved and respected for a long period of time and look forward to continue association with him and each one of my partners. I feel that in doTERRA we have done amazing things. We've been bold now for a long period of time. Dave and Emily both shared with you some of the early history in doTERRA and the value that it has brought to people. We literally have, as Dave said, been changing the world one drop, one person at a time. There's always outward showings of that we can point to and talk about how we lift communities and we change environments. But the work that we do somehow feels to me like it's deeply personal. One of the things that I have appreciated about our efforts in doTERRA is the good that we have done consistently. Without hesitation, without interruption, even when we have faced challenging and difficult times, there has been a migration of essential oils for them to come into their rightful place. It's interesting to me that in 2008, essential oils had a purpose, and the generalized purpose that was associated with it is that they were positioned as good aromatherapy additives. In 2025, we see something very different. They're a part of an innovative and an expectation for health and wellness, and have moved well beyond the confines of where they once originally stood. I'm glad some of you are excited about that. Wait, there's more. In 2008, there was some acceptance of the essential oil, but there was a lot of hesitancy as well. And the hesitancy was focused in the idea that there was not a lot of evidence. The scientific and the medical communities were uneasy with essential oils, claiming that there was nothing to validate their use and they were anecdotal. Here we are now in 2025, and there's a growing use of essential oils as evidence-based therapies in hospitals, direct with patient care, with doctors and physicians around the world. Do you recognize that this is what you have participated in for all of these years? The change that we're creating in the world is dynamic, and it now needs to move forward. And so this morning I pose a simple question that what does it mean to actually be healthy? What does it mean to have health, and how do we define that? Certainly that carries with it a lot of individual disposition, based on our experience, based on our knowledge, and based on the outcomes and the expectations that we have for ourselves. This is one of the most powerful dynamics that exists within doTERRA, that we can be involved in the process of our health. I sometimes hear this conversation, and it bothers me to my core, that we need to find the next big thing. I wonder what that will be. I don't know of anything that would surpass what we have accomplished and what we will yet accomplish with the essential oils. Are you with me? There's a simpleness and a beauty in the essential oils. One of the things I've admired for a long period of time is that you yourselves, myself, I think about when I got started with essential oils, and Emily shared her experience with peppermint. I had similar experiences where, in spite of all that I knew as a physician, everything that I knew about the human body and chemistry did not apply to any of my knowledge of essential oils. And yet I use them with great power and strength in my own home. And you have done exactly the same thing. When somebody tells you that you are not qualified somehow to talk about essential oils, walk away and go do your good work anyway. There's power in the simplicity of our message, and there's power in the value of essential oils. I want to introduce you to a friend of mine by the name of Lindsay. I met Lindsay when I was in Prague in 2016. I had been speaking at convention and I came off stage, and as I came off, Lindsay was in the background. And Jordan at that time said, would you talk to her? And so I did. I spent some time with her. I shared with her some simple things that she could do that would focus around essential oils, that would focus around good, healthy nutrition, and gave her hope that perhaps she could change the outcomes of her life. In 2013, with the birth of her second child, Lindsay began to suffer from a devastating illness and now found herself in a wheelchair where she could not really carry out the daily activities and the things that she would like to do. Lindsay sent me a note recently, and this is what she said. For me, doTERRA is about hope, wholeness, and being given back to my family. I'm deeply grateful for the blessings these products have brought into my life. And how is Lindsay doing today? She's had a third child and is living her life. She came into my office not too long ago, and I had not seen her for a while. And as you can imagine, I meet, I don't even know how many people. And as she walked into my office, she said, do you remember me? And I said, you look vaguely familiar. In my mind, the alarm bells are going off. Security, security, somebody come quick. And she goes, the last time you saw me, I was in a wheelchair. And I said, I do know you. And we reacquainted ourselves. What I love about this story is that I actually did nothing for Lindsay. She did it herself. Just like you and I on a daily basis as we reach out and as we help other people. This is Diane. Diane was in a motorcycle accident. And when Diane returned home, she thought to herself, I'm going to use what I know about the essential oils to try to help myself. And so she made literally just a spritz of frankincense, myrrh, and lavender, and she would spray it on her face every single day. This is where she began on day 1. On day 3, you can see the progress that was being made. On day 6, substantially better. And on day 10, something miraculous. These experiences are not unique. These are everyday experiences in doTERRA, and they bring with it great opportunity. Now, we should be asking ourselves, not in the disruptive way of what does it mean to be healthy, but we should be asking ourselves, so how can I become healthy? How can I stay healthy and have resilience and the capability that I need? And that is the whole purpose and the function behind what we have been talking about, which is foundational wellness. There is this connection that exists between essential oils and nutrition. And so let's talk about that a little bit. Foundational wellness and doTERRA in general, I hope you know that we do things differently. We do things differently in the context of how we approach health. In the real world, you and I, as we face different things that are happening to us, we put them in the context of if I don't have any outward symptoms, if I can just manage those, then somehow I'm perfectly fine. And that is, in the mainstream view, how we would approach health. Not in a derogatory way, it's just how that framework works. In doTERRA, we think of it differently. We're trying to build a construct of normal, healthy, functioning cells, because you know that our body is comprised of trillions of cells, which make up tissues, which make up organs, which make up body systems, and allows us to function optimally. In that context, if this is our approach to health, then it stands to reason that we need support for our cells, and that is what we're doing. And in fact, your cells need 2 primary things, and only 2 primary things. We need good communication. We need communication that goes from one cell to another, and we need communication that comes to the cell. The other thing that we need is we do need foundational nutrition. We don't get the option of bypassing that part of the process. For years, I have wondered about the connection between these two things implicitly. Knowing that if I don't have good nutrition, then my cells can't function properly. Knowing that if I have miscommunication or a lack of communication, my cells can't function properly. There is a pathway that we associate with this that we've talked about many times. And I want to put this thought in your head just for a moment. Is it plausible to believe that if we give our body what it needs, it does have the ability to heal? Because the equation is the opposite of that, says when we don't give our body what it needs, it breaks down. Our body doesn't function well, and we don't have health. And so it stands to reason that it is within our power. Now, I know that we talk with you a lot about all the things that we do in science, and this afternoon you're going to hear more about some of the sciences in doTERRA. We do that for lots of reasons, which I'll explain to you this afternoon. When we talk about science, this is called the signal transduction pathway. It's not the only pathway. It's just as representative of what we want you to understand about how and why we are approaching cell communication in the body. We have chemical messengers. Chemical messengers can come from one cell to another. Chemical messengers can come from outside of the cell as well, essential oils. Chemical messengers interact with the cell, and that in and of itself, once they have bound to the cell, stimulates secondary messaging within the cell, either produced by the cell or messengers that are transcribed into the cell. Essential oils do both of those very effectively. And then we have change in cell behavior. We change motility. We change metabolics. We change epigenetic outcomes. We affect the human genome, all at the cellular level. We win and lose our health one cell at a time. And then we do have cell-to-cell communication. Now, here's a really good example of how I would demonstrate that. We love peppermint oil. We use peppermint oil for a lot of different things. When we use peppermint essential oil, internally, it causes a reduction, in the flow of calcium into the cell, and we have relaxation in the smooth muscle tissue, simply when we use it internally. When we use the essential oil aromatically, we affect a very specific ion pathway which changes and creates a neurological response within the body through the limbic system and the central nervous system. And we have excitability that takes place within the cell. And then finally, when we use the essential oil topically, we bind to a very specific channel that increases the amount of sodium and increases the amount of calcium that's present in the nerve cell, which creates a cooling sensation. Everything that happens in your body is just chemistry. What's fortunate for you and I is the essential oils are just chemistry. Chemistry that's known to the body. Chemistry that will and does change outcomes with consistency. We know the essential oils to be chemical messengers. We know that they have individual chemistry that has affinity for different types of cells and structure and function within the body. And we also know that essential oils upregulate and downregulate cell pathways. Can you tell me anything else that you're aware of? Is there a lip gloss on the planet that will do that? Essential oils, my friends, are simple. Because of their simplicity, they're powerful. They're recognized. They're known by the body. Essential oils is the big thing. Essential oils is who we are and who we will remain. I'm going to ask you to do something for me. It's time to be vocal. It's time to start sharing your message. It's time to no longer stand in the darkness and say, but only if I could talk about essential oils, I could make a difference in someone's life. Will you please start talking about the essential oils with boldness, with courage, with implicit strength that says, I know I can help you. Now I need to spend a quick moment just building this bridge because my time is almost gone. I don't really care. We're going to build this bridge real quickly. We need nutrition. We've talked a lot about foundational nutrition. You're going to hear more about foundational nutrition. VMG, I talked with you about peppermint and shared how it interacts with different pathways and in the cells. The key is that we have to have calcium and we have to have vitamins and minerals and all of those different things in play for the cell to function properly. We know that we also need a good amount of essential fatty acids. We need plausibility. We need our cells to be vibrant in their cell membrane. And we can't have rigidity. We have to have fluidity within those membranes. And there is no better product in the marketplace than the Omega Plus. You need to develop habits for and help other people do likewise for these products. If I had time, I would tell you the differences about why we have turmeric and why we have copaiba and why we have frankincense and why they're in a dual cap. Know that they serve individual purpose, and in the framework that I work in for myself is I use all of them every single day. You know the value of PB Assist and you know the value of TerraZyme.